Did you know a tweet went viral saying that Foolio's crew finally caught Young and Ace off guard? This ongoing Jacksonville rivalry is only getting more intense. The Jacksonville sheriff even called out Young and Ace by name after Foolio's passing. Reports say that Sheriff TK Waters sent a message to Young and Ace and his crew, ATK, after the people responsible for Foolio's attack were caught. Young and Ace has been well known in Jacksonville for a long time. The sheriff said, "We are always watching that group. We have people keeping an eye on them all the time. I will not speak on the chief's investigation, but we do not have an open case on him right now. However, he cannot move around Jacksonville without us knowing, and that is for the good of the community." The sheriff also spoke more about picking up rappers involved in this type of street music. He said, "Drill rap is not just in Chicago, it is here too. We try to push these rappers out of the city. Some of them already know they cannot live here anymore." He even mentioned a well-known rap song that sampled Vanessa Carlton's "A Thousand Miles." In that song, the rappers mentioned real people from Jacksonville, around 5 or 6 of them. "These are not just lyrics," he explained. "These are real people, with families, mothers, fathers, brothers, and sisters who feel the pain of what is happening." Authorities have been keeping a close watch on Young and Ace. Recently, 5 people were arrested for Foolio's attack, and rumors are spreading that they were hired hitmen. The police believe Young and Ace is the main person behind it all. Because of this, the authorities have been shutting down all of his concerts, trying to stop his business and income. Young and Ace is frustrated. He said, "I do not even live in Jacksonville, but they keep canceling my shows. They canceled my show in Tampa, in Virginia, in Gainesville, everywhere. They are messing with my money and my life." The reason for all this? A leaked video. It was reported that a Jacksonville rapper admitted that he targeted Foolio because Young and Ace put a $10,000 bounty on his head. In the video, he said, "I swear on everything, I was the one who did that to Foolio on his birthday. You know, I will not show my face, but I did that. There was money on his head. I rock with Ace and ATK. I am always in Jacksonville. If you know, you know." I had to handle it because Ace was tired of him running his mouth. Realizing the trouble he was in, Young and Ace tried to get ahead of the police. He tweeted, "ATK does not exist anymore. It is all over." He also posted an Instagram video saying, "No more ATK. No more talking about that stuff. People always have something to say, but where are they when it is time to back it up?" However, DJ Academics was already expecting this. He told Young and Ace, "You're next." Whack 100 also spoke about him and said, "He is next." Young and Ace responded, "Why would you say that? Why would you wish that on me?" DJ Academics explained, "I do not think he was wishing that on you. He is just saying that, now that Foolio is gone, people might come after you next." Young and Ace replied, "Man, I have spent my whole life making sure nobody gets me like that. I am not going to let that happen. Now that Foolio is gone, does that mean the war is over?" Young and Ace does not think so. "There is never a time when it is truly over," he said. DJ Academics also talked about something that happened to Young and Ace a few years ago. His crew was ambushed, and that was how his brother lost his life. Ace remembered that night, saying, "I tried to open the door, but I could not move. I grabbed my shirt, but I was stuck. He told me he got me." Even though Ace has had many problems with his rivals, now the police are after him. They found more evidence that points to Ace as the one behind Foolio's attack. Foolio, whose real name was Julio Foolio, was born on June 21, 1998. He was ambushed by rival street members in Tampa. What was supposed to be a fun weekend for his birthday turned into a nightmare. Because of social media, Foolio and his crew rented an Airbnb for the weekend, and as soon as they got there, he started posting online. He went on Instagram and said, "The pool party starts today at 5 or 6. If you already have the address, pull up. If you need it, DM me right now." He kept posting updates, letting everyone know where he was. The party at the Airbnb only lasted about 2 hours. Foolio posted videos of people drinking and hanging out with 5 women. The girls were laughing and having fun, but what they did not know was that Foolio's enemies were already making plans. His biggest mistake was constantly posting his location and what he was doing. An hour later, the police arrived, called the landlord, and got everyone kicked out. But instead of staying quiet, Foolio made another post. He shared a flyer for a club event, once again revealing his location and telling people to pull up. It was almost like he was setting a record for the most location drops in one weekend. Later that night, Foolio posted again from inside the club. "It is my birthday. We are deep in here, 20 people, lit everywhere we go." His enemies now had all the time they needed. They knew exactly where he was and they made a plan. They waited for the right moment to strike. After the club, Foolio and his crew went to the parking lot, trying to figure out where to stay next. His manager found a Holiday Inn down the street, and they headed there. At first, everything seemed quiet. But that did not last long. Cars filled with rival street members suddenly pulled up. They were there for one reason: to find Foolio. Once they spotted him, you can guess what happened next. This was clearly a planned retaliation, and the date made it even more meaningful. It happened on the 23rd of the month, which was important to Foolio's enemies. That was the same day of the month when Foolio had released his song When I See You, where he dissed Yungeen and Ace for losing his closest friends. In the song, Foolio rapped, "Went out to eat on his birthday, for hit 3 passed in the worst way. He kept dissing on me, now we hitting 23. But now, in the present, his enemies got their revenge." On the 23rd, just like in his song, they hit 4 of Foolio's crew. It was almost as if they were recreating his lyrics. Yungeen and Ace responded with the same kind of disrespect. In his own song, he rapped, "For in the car and one of them gone. 3 got hit." This only proved that Ace's crew had struck back. The cycle of retaliation was still going. Just hours after the tragic incident, Yungeen and Ace wasted no time in making their next move. They dropped a diss track called Do It, a direct shot at Julio Foolio following his passing. The song sent shockwaves through social media, with fans and enemies alike reacting to the bold move. But that was not all. Earlier in the day, Ace's right-hand man took things even further by posting an old tweet from King Von on Instagram. The tweet read, "Game over. We won, stupid." It was a clear message. This was not just another street conflict. This was personal. The post only added fuel to the already raging fire, leaving many to wonder if this was the final chapter in a long and bloody rivalry. However, the story took an unexpected turn. Just a month before Foolio's passing, he had spoken in an interview about wanting to put an end to the violence. It was shocking to hear, considering the deep history between the two sides. "You all probably already know this," Foolio had said in the interview. "But even though I said what I said, me and Jay Breezy are supposed to be making a Stop the Violence song. We are trying to get it in motion soon, doing something for the kids, for the youth. We need to make things better, man." He sounded sincere, as if he truly wanted to change the cycle of violence that had taken so many lives. The interviewer even followed up by asking, "So, you and Jay Breezy have a Stop the Violence record coming?" Foolio nodded. "Yeah, we talked about it. My big cousin even wrote about it. He is with it, I am with it. Right now, we are just trying to find the right beat." Hearing this after his passing made things even more heartbreaking. Some people felt like the whole situation could have been avoided. If only they had gone through with the song, if only the efforts for peace had been real, maybe things would have turned out differently. But others did not see it that way. Charleston White, known for his outspoken and often controversial opinions, did not hold back when asked about Foolio's passing. "Everybody keeps asking me what I think about this," he said. "Well, let me tell you something. When you live like that, you die like that. That is just the way it works. Should nobody be sad about what happened to Julio Foolio? One thing we know for sure, he did not go to heaven. His words were harsh, but he stood by them. Now listen," he continued, "that boy had all the time in the world to apologize, to make things right. Instead, he was out here rapping at graveyards, making people's mothers cry. So now, there are people out there breathing a sigh of relief, thanking God. And then there are others crying, saying they are going to miss him. But one thing is for sure, he is not in heaven." For many, these words were difficult to hear. Some agreed with him, while others felt it was cruel to speak on the dead in such a way. But the reality was that street life had no mercy. Every action had consequences. And in Foolio's case, those consequences had caught up to him. One of the major reasons people believed his passing was inevitable was his connection to the death of Ace's best friend, ATK Mitch. Back in April 2022, Foolio had been stopped by the police while driving a Dodge Durango. The officers noticed his illegal window tint and pulled him over to ask some questions. But things took a strange turn when, out of nowhere, a prosecutor arrived at the scene. The prosecutor told the officers exactly who Foolio was and insisted they search his car. The search was illegal, but that did not stop them. They found nothing, but they still detained him and placed him in the back of a cop car. At that point, things got serious. "All right, so I need to bring something up," one of the officers told him. "I know you are not going to like it, but we need to talk about Mitch." Foolio sighed, already knowing where this was going. "Come on, man," he said. "How long is this going to take?" "That depends on you," the officer replied. "We just need to ask you what you know about what happened." Foolio was later taken to the police station, where a detective continued questioning him. "All right," the detective began, "call my house, bring my support in. Now, let us talk about this. What type of work do you do?" "I am an artist," Foolio responded. The detective nodded. "Okay, and when it comes to Mitch, what have you been hearing?" "Man, I was in Miami when I heard the news. I was making music and I saw it on Instagram, just like everybody else." The detectives kept pushing. They wanted to know how close Foolio was to Mitch and if he had any involvement in his passing. "All right," the detective continued. "The reason I am here is because I am leading the case on your friend. You had a friend who recently got killed. I am sure you know who I am talking about." Foolio shrugged. "I have had a lot of friends that recently got killed." "I am talking about Mitch," the detective clarified. "Oh yeah." Foolio paused. "I mean, I knew him, but I do not really know what to tell you, man." The detectives had no solid evidence against Foolio, but they were hoping he would slip up. They kept pressing for information, but he did not give them anything. Even in 2025, Foolio's passing is seen as payback for ATK Mitch. Whether people agreed or not, the streets had their own way of settling scores. And in the end, the cycle continued. The interviewer asked, "So, you and Jay Breezy have a Stop the Violence record coming?" Foolio replied, "Yeah, we talked about it. Even my big cousin wrote about it, and he is on board. I am on board too. Right now, we are just trying to find the right beat." At the time, this seemed like a positive step forward. A song promoting peace could have changed things. It could have sent a message that the cycle of violence needed to end. But after his passing, those words felt like a lost opportunity. Many people were heartbroken, thinking about what could have been. If he had truly followed through with his plans, maybe things would have turned out differently. However, not everyone shared that view. Some believed that Foolio's past actions had already sealed his fate, and no song could have changed what was coming. Charleston White, known for his blunt opinions, made his stance very clear. He did not believe people should feel sorry for what happened. "Everybody keeps asking me what I think about this," he said. "Well, all I will say is, when you live a certain way, this is how it ends. Nobody should be sad about what happened to Julio. One thing we know for sure, he is not in heaven." His words were harsh, but he did not stop there. That boy had all the time in the world to apologize, but instead, he was making songs at graveyards, making people's mothers cry. He did not care about the pain he was causing. So now, some people are probably relieved, wiping their foreheads, saying, "Oh Lord, thank you." Others are crying, saying, "We are going to miss him." But the truth is, he had it coming. Charleston's comments sparked a heated debate. Some agreed with him, saying that Foolio had spent years making music about violence and taunting his enemies, so he could not escape the consequences. Others thought it was heartless to speak on the dead like that, especially when Foolio had talked about changing his ways. In the end, Foolio's passing became another chapter in a long and tragic cycle. Whether people saw it as justice or a loss, one thing was clear: His story was a reflection of a world where violence often led to only one outcome. Charleston White believed Foolio was not going to heaven because of one specific reason: the passing of Ace's best friend, ATK Mitch, in April 2022. Back then, officers pulled Foolio over because he was driving a Dodge Durango with illegal window tint. They started asking him questions, but then a prosecutor suddenly showed up. The prosecutor ordered a search of Foolio's vehicle, even though it was illegal. When they realized who he was, they put him in the back of a police car. Inside the station, a detective questioned him. "All right, I need to bring something up. I know you are not going to like this, but I have to ask about Mitch." Foolio replied, "Man, how long is this going to take?" "Not long, depends on you. They just need to ask what you know." Later, the detectives kept pressing him about Mitch. They asked, "What kind of work do you do? You're an artist, right? As for Mitch, what have you been hearing?" Foolio answered, "I was in Miami when I heard the news. I was making music and then I saw it on Instagram. Everybody was talking about it." The detectives wanted to know more about Foolio's connection to Mitch. "All right, the reason I am here is because I am leading the investigation into your friend's case. You had a friend who recently got killed." Foolio responded, "I have had a lot of friends get killed recently." The detective pressed, "Mitch?" Foolio said, "Oh, yeah. I mean, I knew him. So, I am leading that case." "How close were you? Can you tell me about your relationship, how long you knew each other?" The detectives did not have anything solid on Foolio, but they were hoping he would slip up. They kept fishing for information, but Foolio kept telling them he did not know anything. One thing that could have helped was if someone had called his mother. If you knew his mother, you would want her to have some answers too. But Foolio just kept his distance. "My little brother. I do not know. I really do not know," he said. "You never really know, you know what I am saying? I do not know. I just heard people saying it happened in BR. But I was in Miami at the time." Even though Foolio denied having anything to do with Mitch's passing, the detectives kept pushing. They asked if his music had anything to do with the violence around him. They were getting frustrated, but he stayed quiet. One of them asked, "Do you think your music, your actions, or the way you carry yourself in your songs played a role in all of this?" Foolio shook his head. "No, because even before I was rapping, things were happening. You cannot just blame my music for why things go down." The detective pushed again. "Okay, but do you think it influenced anyone? Like, the way you all go back and forth in songs, do you feel that could have triggered something?" Foolio stayed firm. "No. A song cannot make someone do anything." Many people were angry, believing Foolio was lying to the police. But in 2025, his passing is now seen as payback for ATK Mitch.